Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
It's another gray and rainy day out there for many of us, but we do have some improvements for your weekend forecast. I'll let you know how much longer this rain sticks around coming up.
The excitement is building. The public unveiling of the new Lenovo Center signage takes place in less than an hour, and WRAL is there for the big moment.
Unsafe sleep environments remain the leading cause of deaths and injuries among children younger than 5. Ahead, 3 safety steps parents and caregivers should follow to prevent injury or death.
It is raining in parts of Raleigh. Behind us, it's raining at Dix Park, and you're looking live at the Museum of Natural Sciences in downtown Raleigh, where the streets are wet. More showers and storms are in the forecast this afternoon. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Lovingood. Jeff has the day off. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got meteorologist Kat Campbell here right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how much more rain is headed our way and how it could affect your evening commute.
Well, I think there's a greater likelihood that these showers that we're seeing around Wake County right now will affect the kids' commute home. As they're getting off the bus stop, still a pretty good chance for rain around the triangle this evening. And you can see some steady light to moderate rain on a pretty widespread basis across Wake County and to our west and east, a bit more scattered. It's all going to be pushing to the southwest as we head throughout the evening hours. If we take a live look outside right now, where it's not raining right now, like in Fayetteville, it is still overcast out there. So another dreary look to the day. We're continuing to see these showers kind of rotate around an area of low pressure that's starting to fall apart in the area. In Raleigh right now, we've got rain falling in downtown. This is all going to push to the southwest closer to Fuquay Marina. Apex, you'll see more rain soon. And the heaviest rain right now is over Wendell as well as Knightdale. A flood advisory is in effect for much of Wake County, including Raleigh until 2 o'clock. That also includes Clayton, parts of Johnston County, and another flood advisory over toward Rocky Mount and much of Nash and Wilson counties, as well as Franklin County until 12:30. Futurecast showing some of these scattered showers and perhaps a rumble of thunder for the afternoon commute for the kids as they're getting off the bus stop. We will have some rain around. It's about a 40% chance. And for the evening commute, we'll have that potential as well. But once we get past sunset tonight, we should begin to see some improvements. I don't think we'll see as much rain and thunderstorm activity linger overnight like what we saw last night. But the area of low pressure that we've been watching, bringing us this dreary weather, is starting to fall apart. I'll let you know when we see improvements coming up.
I will see you in just a bit, Kat. Thank you. A local mayor accused of driving while intoxicated several times did not appear in court today as expected. Today's hearing was delayed until a later date. Sharpsburg Mayor Robert Williams was arrested in July after reports of driving recklessly. Police say that he had an open container, was driving with a revoked license, and had a concealed handgun permit violation. Williams was arrested for DWI after he was elected in 2018 and then 3 more times since December of last year.
I'm Keely Arthur in the Live Center. Some concerning news to tell you about. This woman, Danella Jones, is accused of neglecting a person with disabilities, false imprisonment, and animal cruelty. This allegedly happened in Zebulon, according to this Wake County Sheriff's report. Just want to point out exactly what happened. They say that on August 23rd, 2024, so about a month ago, they received a report of neglect of a man with disabilities. It was reported that Jones was his caregiver. She confined him to a room, denied him of food and medication. It was at that time that they also discovered a malnourished dog at the residence. Miss Jones is now being held in a Wake County jail. She is without bond at this moment.
Keely, thanks. In less than an hour, crews will officially unveil the signs at the Lenovo Center, what used to be called PNC Arena. We're expecting some big names at today's event. WRAL's Brett Neese is live inside the Lenovo Center with a sense of the atmosphere. Hi, Brett.
Hey, it's the first day of training camp, Renee, so the guys are out there on the ice right now, taking it all in. The Lenovo Center, you can see the big signage on the big Jumbotron. They got all this new signage already in place here inside the arena, and we'll, of course, see what's outside the arena later this afternoon. I want to show you what that will look like here. This really is the dawning of a new era here for this arena, for NC State, for the Carolina Hurricanes. Because of what comes along with the Lenovo Center signage, the Canes also revealing some new plans for a social district, for an entertainment and social district, sports district, that would go around this area. Canes owner Tom Dundon and Governor Roy Cooper will also be on hand for this ceremony today. It'll be our first chance to hear from owner Dundon since the Hurricanes made that announcement about that $1 billion plan to develop the area around the Lenovo Center that I just mentioned. Plan is to file for some rezoning for making that happen by the end of the month, and then they hope to start construction on that district by the end of 2025. But I got to tell you, it is a great day to be a Caniac because we got all kinds of fans that are in the stands here taking in the first day of training camp here at the Lenovo Center. Of course, we'll have a full update from that press conference, from that unveiling later this afternoon on our later newscast. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
Brett, thank you. We want to show you these numbers right now. The stock market, wow, look at these huge gains after the Fed decided to lower interest rates by 0.5 percentage point. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 472 points. S&P 500 also in the green, advancing almost 100 points. And NASDAQ, another triple-digit rally there, up 480 points as investors respond positively to the Fed's decision from yesterday.
A lot of people excited about that. A clerk of court who lost her job after a WRAL investigation continues to fight her removal from office. Today, the state Supreme Court will hear arguments in the case. The problem? Whether the actions that led to her removal constituted corruption or malpractice.
We first met Patricia Burnett Chastain in 2020. That was when a deputy's body camera showed her getting involved in a land dispute between two neighbors in Franklin County.
I am Patricia Burnett Chastain. I am the Franklin County Clerk of Superior Court. Yes, ma'am. I have jurisdiction over this entire county.
She then went a step further.
I have reviewed her file. By law, I'm obligated at this point to mediate this case.
Following that incident and others, as well as concerns about how the office was run, according to an audit, a local attorney filed a petition to remove Chastain from office. 8 months later, after a hearing, Chastain was removed from office.
I certainly, when I saw it on television, apologized to Mr. Thompson, and I said, I am so sorry. I thought I was helping.
To be clear, Chastain has already been to the State Court of Appeals twice over the same issues, but appeals ended with her still off the job. Today's arguments started at 9:30 this morning.
Tonight, Durham Public School employees could learn how much they'll be paid this year. The district has been overhauling its salary schedules for classified employees. Disputes over pay have led to protests like this one last year. Classified employees include instructional assistants, nutritional staff, and maintenance employees. With these new salary schedules, the minimum salaries are 11% higher than the state recommended minimum. The board will also discuss pay for teachers with master's degrees and salary bumps for teachers of exceptional children. If the school board approves the proposal, the salaries would go into effect for this school year. Today, you can learn more about plans to move students to different schools next fall. A virtual information session about the Wake County Public School System's student reassignment plan will be at 7:30 tonight. The meeting will give a general overview of the plan. A final draft of it will be reviewed during a work session on November 12th. It would have a chance for approval during the board meeting after that.
We are 46 days away from Election Day. Both presidential candidates are not letting up on their visits to battleground states. Here's ABC's Peter Alexander.
Overnight, former President Trump joking about the apparent assassination attempt at his golf course.
Golf is a very dangerous game.
It really is. On Fox News, Trump also touting a non-endorsement. The Teamsters declining to back either Trump or Vice President Harris yesterday. The first time since 1996, the union, one of the nation's largest, has opted against throwing its support behind the Democratic nominee.
That was sort of a big event. Nobody's ever expected a thing like that to happen.
The Harris campaign saying Teamsters locals across the country have already endorsed her, alongside the overwhelming majority of organized labor. Harris also pushing back against a major Trump campaign theme, his restrictive immigration policies, speaking to Latino lawmakers.
They have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history. How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps? What are they talking about?
It comes as Trump is pledging to visit Springfield, Ohio, which has been a flashpoint in the immigration debate.
I'm going to go there in the next 2 weeks. You may never see me again, but that's okay.
After Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance spread baseless claims about Haitian immigrants there eating pets. Now, officials in Ohio say there have been multiple threats in Springfield, including at schools. The mayor earlier this week saying a Trump visit would be a strain on resources. The Republican governor visiting Springfield to show support after those bomb threats.
Resources are really stretched here. But if President Trump makes that decision to come here, he will be welcome here.
Democrats have condemned Trump's rhetoric about immigrants, including President Biden yesterday.
We don't demonize immigrants. We don't single them out for attacks. We're a nation of immigrants, and that's why we're so strong.
That was Peter Alexander reporting. Vice President Kamala Harris is scheduled to take part in a live stream event with Oprah Winfrey in Michigan today. Tomorrow, she will hold a rally in Madison, Wisconsin. On the Republican side, today, former President Trump will be in Washington, D.C. to attend an event with a pro-Israel group. He will then be back in North Carolina on Saturday for a rally in Wilmington. Unsafe sleep environments are the leading cause of death and injuries among children younger than 5. A new report found more than 500 infant deaths associated with nursery products between 2019 and 2021. That's according to the latest data available. Cribs, mattresses, and infant carriers were associated with 76% of those deaths. The Consumer Product Safety Commission is urging parents and caregivers to follow these safety steps to prevent injury or death. First, place baby to sleep on their back to reduce sudden infant death syndrome. Keep baby sleep space bare and place baby on a firm crib or bassinet if they fall asleep in a bouncer or a lounger.
I'm Keely Arthur in the Live Center. Some big news on the Olympics front. That athlete Jordan Childs, who was stripped of her Olympic bronze medal on a technicality, saying her coach didn't appeal the score in time, now is suing. She says that this is a review from the Washington Post saying that the court that made that ruling did not look at the time accurately. Childs is now suing a Swiss court to reclaim her bronze medal, saying that she did appeal it within the time frame and should be awarded that bronze medal, which she originally won at the Paris Games last month.
A lot of people at the time. Thank you, Keely. Next at noon, first came the pager explosions, then the walkie-talkie detonations. This afternoon, a look at what appears to be an attack on Hezbollah with Israel being blamed.
Plus, what started as a crash through the ceiling turned into a robbery on camera at a business in Atlanta.
Plus, new insight from Johns Hopkins on an issue reported for years, gun violence being the leading cause of death for children and teenagers.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
It is 12:14 as we give you a live look at Wilson, the whirligigs in motion with those breezy conditions and gray overcast skies. On this gloomy, dreary afternoon, we're glad you're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Because thousands of electronic devices exploded in Lebanon, it's being concerned right now that there will be a greater conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. At least 32 people are dead and more than 3,000 others are wounded. As Raf Sanchez reports, Israel is facing blame for this.
Lebanon is a country that is terrified and traumatized after 2 consecutive days of explosions ripping across the country. At first, it was pagers belonging to Hezbollah members, and then yesterday, it was their walkie-talkies that started detonating simultaneously. Lebanon's health ministry says 32 people have been killed. Among them are 2 children, and the ministry is just overwhelmed by the scale of the 3,000 wounded people. And it appears Hezbollah is just unable to stop what 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News is a vast covert Israeli operation targeting the Iranian-backed militants, both their personnel and their communications networks. Israel is refusing to say whether it was behind the blasts, but the Israeli defense minister has said his country is entering a new phase of the war where troops and resources are being shifted from the fight against Hamas in Gaza to the fight against Hezbollah on the northern border. Now, the U.S. is still desperately trying to reach a ceasefire in Gaza, arguing that that is the best way to also avoid all-out conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. But at this point, there is very little optimism here in the region about American efforts to reach a deal. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
We are seeing new video released from the U.S. Coast Guard showing the Titan submersible implosion wreckage scattered on the seafloor. In this video, you can see a large chunk of debris as well as smaller pieces around it. A remotely operated vehicle took this video on June 23, 2023. The hearing is expected to last until next Friday in Charleston. The Marine Board of Investigation says if there is any detection of a criminal act, it would make a recommendation to the Department of Justice.
Atlanta police hope security camera video helps them catch 3 men accused of robbing a business. You see it all unfold in this video. 2 men in masks crashed through the ceiling of this check cashing business. Police say they used power tools to cut a hole in the roof. One suspect grabbed the manager, pulled her to the ground, then forced her to open the safe. The men duct taped her and left her in the restroom. Officers say the robbers got away in a pickup truck and a third suspect was driving it. The manager, who was not seriously hurt, did escape and called police. What an ordeal. New video into our newsroom reveals a scary moment at a youth baseball game in New Jersey. The 10 and 11-year-old players were in the dugout when the tree fell on top of it. 2 players had minor cuts from the falling branches. Both players were treated and released to their parents. Police say there were no complaints about the tree before it fell. Very scary, and look at just a bright sunny day there. We had some sunshine yesterday afternoon, but that was short-lived, and now we're back to gray, dreary skies and rain. Meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. It feels like we're living in Seattle, just rain every day.
It really does, Renee. The good news I have for you is that the weekend should be better than it is during the week. But, man, I was able to get my dog out for a walk in between the showers this morning, and she was just ready to run. It's been a rough week. You haven't been able to get outside too much in this weather. Still a great day in Durham. You can see they've got the tarp on the field at the DBAP. The season is over for the Bulls, at least at home. They went out on a pretty good note. In Raleigh, the rain's still coming down at Dix Park, and in Fayetteville, 76, cloudy, but not raining there yet. Keyword yet. We got these showers that are all pushing slowly to the southwest. It's not terribly heavy rain, but it is fairly steady rain, and it's just that kind of dreary look to the day once again. Given how much rain has already fallen in the past couple of days, there are some flood advisories out there, so be careful if you're driving. That's really just because the rain doesn't have anywhere to go. The ground is saturated, not necessarily having to do with today's rainfall rates, but a lot of clouds out there. That's all the white that you see there. We're kind of locked into an overcast, but one thing that's changed is previously we had a closed off upper level low. That has started to broaden out, and we now have more of a dip in the jet stream. So this is going to be easier now for the atmosphere to push it on out of here, and we expect that to happen tomorrow. That's why rain chances will begin to fall this weekend. A big update to your weekend forecast we first told you about yesterday, though. It's trending warmer. Highs are back in the mid-80s, and there will be a small chance for rain each day this weekend. And because it's trending warmer, that flow, it's also going to be a bit more muggy. We'll see dew points in the mid-60s, at least not the 70s like we had yesterday and early today. Tomorrow morning, I think we'll be off to a drier start, and through lunchtime, it looks pretty good. But once we get to the afternoon, we will probably see a couple of pop-up showers, perhaps a rumble of thunder. We may need to bump up rain chances to 30% tomorrow. So check in for that update starting at 4 on WRAL News. Once meteorologist Mike Mays and myself look over the new model data. Saturday, we'll watch for some clouds again during the morning, and then just a 20% chance of rain. But notice all this up to the north Saturday night. This is 8 o'clock. I wouldn't be surprised if that was able to push in overnight Saturday into the very early morning hours on Sunday. So we'll watch that potential. Your school day planner definitely looks better tomorrow compared to today. 66 at 8 a.m. mid-80s by the afternoon. Those of you who are a fan of summer, even though fall starts on Sunday, you still get to enjoy some summer-like weather for the weekend. Overall, it doesn't look like a bad weekend, but we can't rule out rain each day. It's just not going to be as much as what we've got out there today. We bumped up rain chances to 60% today, down to 20% this weekend. Once we get to early next week, some drier weather to start the week and temperatures rebound. We should be back in the 80s by the middle and end of next week. I'll have your tropical update coming up in about 30 minutes.
All right, sounds great, Kat. Thank you. Hershey is partnering with a wellness company. We're going to show you the whey protein products teeming with Hershey flavor that you'll soon find in stores. Plus,
the suspect was, "This is my car." And I go, "No, it's not. It's not your car. This is my car. What are you doing in my car?"
This is not your car.
Talk about a moment in the Twilight Zone. The owner of a Corvette catches a would-be thief in his car. The bizarre story later. General Motors electric vehicle owners will now be able to use Tesla's charging network. GM is offering adapters for its EV owners to access to more than 17,000 Tesla superchargers. The company is selling the adapter through its vehicle brand mobile apps for $225. This comes after the White House announced last year Tesla would make some of its charging network available to EV owners by the end of the year. Uber is adding a new verification feature for riders to improve overall safety. The company made the decision after receiving feedback from drivers who want to know more about the person getting into their vehicle. Most users will automatically receive a verification badge. Those who do not can select identity verification to submit a selfie and a photo of their ID.
2 new Wawa convenience stores in Wilson are officially open for business. The convenience store chain is known for clean bathrooms and a large selection of made fresh food. Wawa's first North Carolina location opened in August back in Kill Devil Hills. You may recall we reported that. The company says there will be 10 Wawa stores in the state by the end of the year. Walmart is taking on Amazon to fight for your dollars. The company is hosting holiday deals October 8th through the 13th. This overlaps with Amazon's second Prime Day deals on October 8th and 9th. Wonder if that was intentional. Walmart will also offer what it calls an inflation-free Thanksgiving meal at a lower price than last year, roughly $7 a person. It serves up to 10 people and includes more than 24 favorite dishes. More children and teenagers die from gun violence than crashes or even cancer. What new research reveals about the efforts to reverse these numbers?
Big Pharma is having a hard time keeping up with the demand for weight loss drugs such as Ozempic and Wegovy. Now millions of Americans are turning to alternatives. Do they work? A weight loss surgeon chimes in. But first, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A new report out today shows gun violence has been the leading cause of death for children and teenagers for 3 years straight. The data is coming from research from Johns Hopkins School for Public Health. Let's bring in WRAL's Noah Klein here right now. Noah, this report looks at this issue over several years.
Right, multiple trends here. And this new report looks at the most recent data from 2022. Here's what it shows. 48,204 people, the second highest on record, died from gunshots in the U.S. More than half of those are attributed to suicide. That's an all-time high. The report shows roughly 7 deaths per day are connected to guns. That number, though, it only accounts for deaths involving people who are between 1 and 17 years old. The author of this report suggests strengthening those child access prevention laws. A recent WRAL documentary focused on kids dying from gun violence. We found there are at least 1.7 million homes in North Carolina with guns. More than half of those homeowners say their gun isn't safely stored. The Dockery family from Fayetteville is featured in this doc. 8-year-old Genesis Dockery was shot at her babysitter's house by the babysitter's 11-year-old son.
I'm not anti-gun by far. However, if this gun is where it should be at, secured in a safe, we're not sitting here today.
You can watch Unsafe, North Carolina Kids Dying from Gun Violence on WRAL's YouTube page or on WRALdoc.com. We also posted the full Johns Hopkins report over on WRAL.com.
Noah, thank you. A growing number of people are using new weight loss drugs to drop unwanted pounds. There has also been an explosion in natural alternatives that promise to do the same. Question is, do they work and are they safe? NBC's Emily Aketa shares what you need to know about these emerging supplements.
As skyrocketing demand pushes weight loss injectables out of reach for some,
the Ozempic shortage saga continues.
More companies are dropping cheaper alternatives that have taken on the nickname Nature's Ozempic.
Nature's Ozempic Day 2 Update Berberine. I am obsessed.
Weight loss supplements now range from capsules with berberine to brightly colored gummies and drink mixes infused with oatmeal and tea. The latest on the scene from Kourtney Kardashian Barker's wellness brand, Lemme.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
GLP-1 Daily uses ingredients that the company says studies show can reduce hunger and cravings, decrease fat and weight, and increase GLP-1 levels, the appetite-suppressing hormone made famous by game-changing medications like Ozempic and Wegovy. A recent survey shows 1 in 8 adults in the U.S. have used a GLP-1 drug at some point. Among them, a growing cohort of celebrities.
Weight health is a very complex issue for everybody.
While those prescribed and extensively researched drugs mimic GLP-1, Dr. Hans Schmidt points out these emerging supplements claim to promote natural production of the hormone with far less testing.
I don't think that they are anywhere near the strength of the injectable. If you could just go buy a supplement and lose 20 or 30, 40 pounds, you couldn't hear the end of it. It would be all over the place, but they're not.
Name brand drugs can run $1,000 a month without insurance. So Lemme's $72 a month price point, touting no side effects, has some eager to give it a shot, writing on Instagram, "I got mine," and buying them right now. Though Dr. Schmidt cautions lifestyle changes and a high fiber diet, which also stimulates GLP-1 production, would likely be more effective.
That was Emily Aketa reporting. Now, when you think of Hershey's, chances are you don't think of weight loss. But the 130-year-old confectioner is expanding into the wellness industry. Hershey's has struck a deal with the supplement brand C4 Energy. And as part of this collab, Hershey's milk chocolate and Reese's peanut butter and chocolate will soon be sold as protein powders. The whey protein powder is set to hit shelves in October. Bubbly energy drinks in Jolly Rancher flavors are available in stores now.
Cancer-causing chemicals found inside NC State dorms.
It's definitely not a great feeling to know that they've been discovered in there.
WRAL has been investigating PCBs discovered inside Poe Hall for nearly a year. Our team has learned about nearly 24 other campus buildings contaminated with the same chemical. Tonight at 6 o'clock, our team dug through thousands of pages of records to learn in which dorms and classroom buildings the chemicals were found, plus what the university has done to clean them up over the last 7 years.
Church and school leaders are pushing back against a law to help victims of childhood sex abuse. The state legislature voted unanimously to make it easier for victims to sue, even for abuse that happened decades ago. But the law never went into effect because it was ruled unconstitutional. State officials have been fighting that decision. Lawyers for the schools and churches say allowing decades-old claims to be filed could lead to false accusations, since any witnesses or evidence may be long gone.
We're going to have a victim who's going to come in against the Board of Education and testify to some horrible abuse that they claim that happened 40 or 50 years ago. And what we're going to have is nothing.
The justices will make a decision in the coming months. For more on the arguments, go to the NC Capital section of WRAL.com.
Parenting during the teen years, it's complicated. How you can help build connections and reduce conflict for your teen.
Plus, fall is almost here. We'll explain the kind of weather required to get a really stunning fall color payoff. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or on the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Parents, drugs, sex, and mental health, we know they can be tough conversations to have with your preteens and teenagers.
But experts say connecting with teens can help guide them toward making responsible decisions and reducing certain health risks. Mandy Gaither shares practical ideas to get teens to open up about tough topics.
We're all busy and have to contend with modern day technologies, but staying connected with children is one of the best things a parent can do.
I have 3 teenage girls, and it is the best part of my life. But I also know how hard it can be sometimes to get kids to talk about their feelings.
A recent CDC survey found nearly 77% of parents believe their teens always have the social and emotional support they need, but only 28% of teens agreed with that.
Close emotional relationships between parents and teens are associated with all kinds of long-term benefits: improved mental and general health, less dangerous behavior like substance abuse.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta says there are prompts to help get preteens and teens to open up.
Maybe ask teens for their internal weather report or what weather pattern best reflects how they feel at the time. You can also ask them what song or movie describes their mood. Maybe ask about the high and low points of their day.
When connecting with teens, the CDC says to also engage in active listening. Find out more about what they like and why, and be the person they trust and want to come to when they need an adult.
The goal here is to build a safe and supportive space where people can be vulnerable. So do respect any boundaries and be patient.
Some helpful guidelines there. That was Mandy Gaither reporting. The CDC says if you have concerns about your child's emotional well-being, their behavior, or overall mental health, be sure to reach out to a healthcare provider.
This Sunday, it's fall, y'all. After the break, hear an expert explain what needs to happen to produce the perfect leaf colors in autumn.
Chances are you probably don't think about where lost golf balls land, why some environmental experts say athletes should keep them out of waterways.
Getting a look in downtown Raleigh right now. Some people walking about, still see a little bit of water on the ground there and some rain still going, but I only see one umbrella. I think some people may need to bring it with them as they're walking downtown.
Elections officials in Harris County, Texas, are working with NASA to send astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore their ballots on Saturday.
Now, the 2 veteran astronauts will be floating more than 200 miles above their kneeling polling place on Election Day in November. But NASA already has a contingency plan in place for this exact scenario. In 1997, the Texas legislature passed a bill allowing astronauts to still be able to perform their civic duty.
Talk about a birthday that's out of this world. Astronaut Sonny Williams certainly didn't plan on spending her big day in orbit, but she's making the most of it. A few Bollywood celebrities shared a video of themselves singing a classic song for her 59th birthday. Williams and the fellow astronaut are anticipated to come back to Earth in February on a Crew Dragon capsule from SpaceX.
I know they're going to be up there for a bit, but they're making the most of it. Another week of football kicks off tonight. The Jets take on the Patriots. The AFC East opponents will square off tonight at MetLife Stadium, and that game starts at 8:15.
The Carolina Panthers will hit the road this weekend to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. This time, Andy Dalton is their starting quarterback. Bryce Young is the backup. Kickoff is Sunday at 4:05.
And there is a full slate of games on WRAL and Fox 50 this Sunday, beginning at 1 on Fox 50. Do not miss the Saints take on the Eagles. And then after that on Fox 50, it's Ravens versus Cowboys. Baltimore is looking for their first win. Then on Sunday Night Football on WRAL, the Kansas City Chiefs are taking on the Atlanta Falcons on the road. Kickoff is at 8:20.
The world outside is about to undergo a massive change. The first day of fall is Sunday, and people all across the country are excited to watch the trees transform over the next several weeks. Drought can cause some trees to start turning yellow in August, but it can take some specific weather conditions to really maximize the color payoff. One thing you don't want is an abrupt transition to fall where all of a sudden it gets cold.
Mild succession of cold fronts followed by several days of that bright sunny weather. That bright sunny weather, it's a little bit cooler. is really what brings out the vibrancy, because the sun in particular triggers or catalyzes this chemical reaction, particularly with those reds and violets.
Trees in regions with higher elevation typically see their leaves change color first, starting around late September. Of course, we'll start to see the colors change in the mountains to the west and then moving on over to us.
Yeah, not much for leaf peepers to see right now in Dix Park, but of course that'll change in weeks to come. We've got meteorologist Kat Campbell right now getting you started on your forecast as you are looking at a rainy Raleigh right now.
The good news is it doesn't look like we're going to have drought issues for the fall foliage this year, but we're going to need more sunshine as we get closer to the cooler weather. We don't have much of that today, 75 degrees in Raleigh at the moment. I will say I was just looking out the window and there is some brightness shining through the sun at times. Still some rain falling in Wake County and the sun set 7:16 tonight. The rain coming down in downtown Raleigh. Garner seeing that rain over toward Clayton right now, starting to dry out for Wake Forest. Wendell, you'll be drying out soon, and this is going to be tracking to the southwest, closer to Holly Springs, eventually Fuquay Marina. And Durham, it's some spotty, lighter rain, but the biggest area of rain is what's passing through Raleigh over to Clayton right now. Elsewhere, it's just more spotty, still pretty gray out there today as we continue to track rain chances up until we finally get this system to push on out of here. Right now, it's kind of stuck in the upper levels of the atmosphere over North Carolina, but since it's no longer a closed low pressure system, it's more of a wave now. That's going to allow the jet stream to actually move it a bit faster, and that should take the clouds and the rain with it for the most part. Still small rain chances this weekend, though. 75, as I mentioned now, but the dew point 71. That's important because the closer those two numbers are, the more humid it is outside, and you can feel it certainly. A 60% chance of rain up until about 6, 7 o'clock. That's when rain chances will start to back off. Your tropical update, the system that we've been telling you about since the beginning of the week in the southern Gulf of Mexico, closer to the Yucatan Peninsula, 40% chance of developing now. That chance will continue to go up. It continues to look very likely that we'll have a pretty potent tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico next week. These two systems out here, a small chance of developing. This is actually the remnants of Gordon. That's why it still looks pretty good on satellite there. Let's talk about the chance of a tropical depression forming on the exclusive European model ensembles that we have here at WRAL. We've seen a bit of a shift west in the coming days. This goes out through next Friday, so we could actually see it cross over the Yucatan Peninsula closer to Cancun and perhaps reemerge in the southern Gulf by the end of next week. This may slow down the timeline for potential U.S. impact. So a lot to watch still, and we're still dealing with rough surf at our coast from the no-name system. High risk for rip currents along the northern Outer Banks. If you're headed to the beach tomorrow, we do expect some drier weather, upper 70s to lower 80s, and then low to mid 80s even at Ocean Isle by Saturday. More sunshine expected there. If you're traveling to the mountains, a foggy start tomorrow morning, but not bad for the afternoon. And then Saturday, you should get to see more sunshine. For us here locally, for staying in town, a 20% chance for rain each day this weekend. As we look at the weekend, those numbers are ticking up. It should be a bit warmer with highs in the mid 80s.
Kat, thank you. Imagine walking up to your car and finding someone you didn't know sitting inside.
And I'm like, there's no way someone's in my car. What are you talking about? I thought he was trolling me. I thought it was all a joke.
But it wasn't. A would-be thief was caught sitting in someone else's car. We're going to show you the video of the encounter after the break.
First, here's a look at last night's winning Powerball numbers. 1, 11, 22, 47, 68, and the Powerball is 7. Your Power Play multiplier is 4.
Looking outside, things are looking pretty cloudy for the time being right now. Kat Campbell did say she saw a little sunshine peeking through, so there's a little bit of hope in that regard there. As we wrap up things, here is a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today.
Happening soon, crews will officially unveil the signs at the Lenovo Center, what used to be called PNC Arena. We're expecting some big names at today's event. You're looking at renderings of the new signage on the building, set to be revealed at 1 o'clock. Canes owner Tom Dundon and Governor Roy Cooper will be on hand for that ceremony.
A clerk of court who lost her job after a WRAL investigation continues to fight her removal from office. Today, the state Supreme Court will hear arguments in the case. It's happening right now, in fact. But the problem is whether the actions that led to her removal constituted corruption or malpractice. We will let you know about any new updates in our case tonight on our evening news and on WRAL.com.
Today, you can learn more about plans to move students to different schools next fall. A virtual information session about the Wake County Public School System's student reassignment plan will be happening at 7:30 tonight. They will give a general overview of the plan. A final draft of the reassignment plan will be reviewed during a work session on